Hi, welcome to HowtoDandD. My name is Fred Wheeler and today is my day off. Yes, that's right. I'm not necessarily going to be talking about anything in particular because it's my painting day. This is my crafting painting day and I thought, suckeritash, I'm going to do a Sharkman, a shark monster. And yes, this monster is more sort of like a pathfinder monster rather than a Dungeons and Dragons monster, but who cares? I don't care. So what I thought I would do is I would prep the miniature, which is what I did, and I found on the internet a picture of a rather interesting looking shark paint job. And I looked at it because I was thinking, should I go grey? Should I go black? Should I go blue? And I've decided that I'm going to go blue. I like the idea of blue. Blue is sort of means it can sort of meld in with its environment because the sea is kind of greeny blue, right? So that's what I'm going to do. To be honest, with regard to this miniature, I actually didn't have too many problems with setting it up. The filing of it, actually pretty good. No real issues there. Happy with that. No, not going to be a problem for you. So filing this thing, there weren't any major sort of mold lines that I had to deal with. Yes, there is a link to the miniature from Reaper Bones down in the description. Yes, I will be posting all the paints that I use, but that really doesn't matter because you probably won't do it my way anyway. So mold line's not a problem. Gluing it together, well, it was already glued for me, so that hasn't been an issue, but I don't think that it would have been an issue anyway. I didn't really worry too much about trying to fill gaps because there really weren't any gaps to fill, so that wasn't an issue. What I did find is putting the primer on. I used a spray primer, and you might have noticed that I've already got overshoot on the underneath. It's just once it's mounted to the base, it's impossible to get at, and even if you didn't have that base on, it's impossible to get at. I feel like you're better to brush on your primer. I used a fine finish miniature and metal primer. This is a resin miniature as far as I can tell. The plastic that they make it out of feels more like a resin than it does a plastic if you ask me. So I did have a few hassles getting the primer on, and you might find the same thing unless of course you use like just paint it on. It's probably the best way is just paint it on. What's that, big kid? No girlfriend or kids this weekend, so much painting to do. Primed 20 frost grave cultists. Oh my gosh, you'll get more done than I do. Anyway, so my plan is, once I stick this onto something, will it stick? That's the question. Will it stick? Will it stay in place? Or will I have to go and get more blue tag? Fortunately, it's close by. Okay, so it's on, mostly. I feel like I might need a bigger chunk, like a big chunky piece. You know what I mean? Enough so that the miniature doesn't shift as I'm painting. So I'm thinking dark blues and then working to lighter blues underneath. And I might fiddle with some greys as well. But I think that's really the way I want to paint this miniature. And of course you can paint it any way you like. I'm going to grab some more blue tag. Oh. So one of the things I have certainly discovered is that never have enough blue tack in the house. With all the things that I get up to nowadays, I never have enough. I would blue tack down my mat, blue tack down the cover to make sure my desk doesn't wind up getting covered in all sorts of googlies. Blue tack down the mats when I'm using my miniatures, doing my miniature demonstrations. So yes, and for those of you who are wondering, why am I not on Twitch TV? Well, on my day off, I'm not going to be on Twitch TV. So that means painting day and the other day that I have off, because I have 2 days off, kind of. It's not really, it doesn't really feel like it sometimes though. They're still going to be on YouTube, but they will go unlisted until I'm ready for the finer public to see it. And those of you who are here for live chat will get the live chat version, and yeah. Okay, so, right, so first off, which paint? I'm going to go with Citadel Kantor Blue. Kantor Blue, let's do a Kantor Blue. F. Hubbard is painting goblins and kobolds. Good news, good news. I've got a brother who's really good at painting. I've been trying to get him to get his act together and get himself onto YouTube or Twitch TV or something, because he's much better than I am. He does cars. He's right into cars. So I can see there being a lot of interest in his stuff. Certainly a lot more than the likes of Dungeons and Dragons. Okay, so this, I'm going to just scoop out a good chunk of it because it's going to probably go very, very quickly. I've got a large miniature to deal with. Yes, it is. It's quite big. Okay, that'll do. Hi, Thomas. How's it going? What's a good starting point when getting into miniatures? Go with something as simple as possible. My advice to you is larger is easier than medium and small miniatures suck. Okay, they really do. If you're starting out, all those fine details, you want something really, really simple. So monsters. You'll notice that a lot of the stuff I do on this channel, when it comes to painting and crafting, are large size or bigger monsters. And the reason is it's just easier to do that sort of thing. And hence why I do it as much as I do. And do I feel like that's still a bit on the thick side? It is a Citadel paint after all. Now if you're wondering if there's a bit of reverb in the room, it's because slightly different setup, and of course hard surface. I've got to put a hard surface down for this sort of thing. We might shift some of that paint. There's a lot of paint on there, but anyway, we'll just move our way along here and see how it looks, and then go from there. I don't want to get the air bubbles in there. Get rid of the air bubbles. No air bubbles, please. Thank you very much. I don't need those. What's that, F-Hubber? Practice with water-based paints you can scrub off with a toothbrush. Yeah, so today, for example, this miniature, in terms of prepping it, I filed it. I then got out my hot soapy water with a toothbrush and scrubbed it to get rid of all the residue that might have been sitting on it, because that tends to happen. And then once I'd done that, I then got myself some simple green. You could use some rubbing alcohol. Isopropyl alcohol is a good option. And I just worked my way through that and cleaned it again after it dried. And then I washed off all of the simple green. The isopropyl alcohol will just dry, so you don't have to worry about that sort of thing. But yes, that was my process. And then I had to prime it. So a couple of different applications. You can only hit it from so many angles. You've got to let it dry. Otherwise, you wind up with a few hassles. And I did have a few hassles with getting the primer onto this. I'll try not to get out of this shot. Otherwise, it's not very helpful to you, right? I noticed that the DM layer, Luke, is making magic items over on his channel live. What a great idea. Great idea. The problem with making magic items is magic items, when you custom build them, they're very, very personal to a dungeon master. I feel like that's something that a dungeon master will essentially have to make alterations to, and that however they come out, that somebody else has made them, is not going to be really suitable. You'll either stick with what's in either in the Dungeon Master Guide, or you will just make your own, right? But still, fun to do. All right, so just give me a second. I just want to check my image. I will keep an eye on the chat. If you have any specific questions, make sure to hit what's the hashtag question, so it pops out for me. Okay, so I'm going to go sort of arms, dark color, lower section. Okay, I get it. All right, I think that's... So I'm just having a quick look at what I've got already and sort of what I'm aiming for. And I think I've got a gist of where I need to put my paint. So that's good news. Excellent. Slip it back. Okay, so fins, and that is going on nicely, actually. I feel like that's working out pretty well. And we will just coat it and then deal with it. I'll do the hands as well. The arms, should I say, the arms and hands. We're going to be pretty rough about this. If I'm out of the shot, I do apologize. I'm trying to get the paint on. Got to see where I'm painting too, so that's always sort of part of the problem. What's that, Hubba? They can't. Then you can start over several times on a miniature. You don't want to be starting over several times with a miniature, because that sucks. You can, he's right, use water-based paints, but oil-based are always trouble anyway. You still have to coat them to make sure that the paint doesn't come off, because oil-based paints stay on, but if you handle something like a water-based paint, the paint tends to come off over time. But nowadays, water-based paints, it doesn't matter whether you're painting miniatures or you're painting houses, people go with the water-based because it's just less dangerous to you, It's more friendly to people and animals and various other things. So hence a good choice. Alright, so let's get the other side of the arm done. Somebody was asking me, do I do Dungeon Master maps? And yes, I do draw maps, but usually only for myself. I've never done them to a quality that I would actually, somebody else I felt would actually be interested in them. There's not really something that I've ever sort of looked at. And I actually stopped doing dungeon maps a while back. I used to do them. And then I was watching Hank over on Runehammer, and who, of course, was called Drunkards and Dragons. And basically he would do like a dungeon room, and I felt like actually what I want to do is not design or draw up a map of a 5 location whatever dungeon or cave or whatever. What I want is I just want one dungeon room, so I can just pluck it and put it anywhere I like. How's it going, Matt? And so that's what I've been doing nowadays, is I don't really do full-blown maps. What I do is I do a dungeon room or a location, a single location, which I can just pull and put wherever I need it to be. Because sometimes you need something to be outdoors, sometimes you need it to be indoors, sometimes it just needs to be a room that would be part of a bigger complex. But normal architecture and structures aren't made up of these large interweaving rooms and so forth, and not unless they're always hanging out in a university, you know what I mean? Or a government institute where that sort of chaos occurs. Normally, when you're dealing with older sort of designs, they're very, very simple and are not that complicated. They're functional. They do what they need to do. There's maybe, if you're lucky, 5 different locations in the whole thing. But often there's even less than that. Okay, so that is looking all right. I just want to check to see if the legs need to be sorted out. I'm just not sure if I want to go dark or I want to go light with them. If you want to keep the paint job, then coat it in a clear acrylic matte or satin spray finish. Yes, you're going to have to do that anyway. So coat it, yeah. For beginners, they have a fantastic tube you can buy, and you can get a lot of creatures out of that. Not a lot of detail, but enough that you can get decent results. Yes, you can just grab some stuff from like a cheap emporium. Okay, so I'm just having a quick look at my picture and just to see if... Okay, so they've gone with a darker colour on the legs. The problem is I feel like that's not really going to work. It doesn't make quite enough sense. So I'm still deciding whether... No, I'm not going to do that. Sorry, that's not happening on my miniature. It's going to be a light coloured. So let's just make sure I've got all the blue covered in the areas that I need it to be. It's covered pretty well, this paint. I'm not really too surprised. It's a Citadel paint, so they usually do. And we'll just to make sure the top places where it has to be, it's going to be seen, is going to be well coated. It's already started to dry. The weather is getting really, really cold here, so it'll be interesting to see if I have problems with tackiness, because that can often occur, with the paint just failing to dry, not because of humidity, but because it is too cold. Okay, so we've got you done there, so we'll clean that off, and then we'll zip on over and we'll start dealing with the mouth. I think the mouth definitely needs to be black, so we'll get some black in there. And that was my little paper towel times. Paper towels. Now I know for those of you, if it starts getting quiet, it's because when I'm either concentrating or you're concentrating because you're doing your own stuff, right? So, all right, where is it? I needed the black. Okay, so I'm using Vallejo black. I like the black. I've got my little ball bearing. You can hear it. Probably might be able to hear it jiggling around in there. There we go. So it's supposed to be Dungeons and Dragons tonight for me. I'm still a little bit sick, but taking some medication, and hopefully I'll get through it. Just make sure I look after myself and don't stay too late. That's the main thing, right? Okay, so I feel like that brush is good enough. Is that going to be too thick? No. Well, that actually worked really, really easily. That was amazing. It doesn't often happen. At least the mouth is easy to get at. I can't imagine what the underneath is going to be like to get at when it comes to putting the lighter blue on, though. That is just going to be tedious. It's going to be very, very tricky. And the teeth, there's a lot of sort of jaggedy teeth on this, so it's going to be all over the place to a large extent. Okay, so that brush is no longer any good to me. I will have to go to a smaller brush to get the rest of it done. So that's exactly what I will do. So we'll put that there. Stay. Don't move. Stay. Go to my standard Citadel brush. There we go. And where is the paint going? It is going. Can Fred even see? Nope, he can't. It's blind as a bat. Let's try that again. Yeah. Go away. Cool. And oh, yeah, I've got a steady hand. How's it going, Joe? How you doing? Yes, for those of you who are here, I'm still on YouTube doing my painting, and my painting will probably stay on YouTube for the foreseeable future. It's just probably won't be, it'll probably go unlisted later on, that's all. Just because I'm sick and tired of YouTube giving the live content a hard time. And I think to a large extent it's very hard for people to get their head around watching the really long live streams that are full of questions and answers at the end. It's not necessarily the most appealing thing, I guess, for a lot of people. So yes, a lot of the long form content and live streams will wind up on unlisted, and they'll get streamed as of tomorrow, I believe. As of tomorrow, it's Twitch TV for live. So if you want to keep a track on me, that's where I'll be. And then you'll have to wait for the published edited version on YouTube, unless of course you're a patron, and then you get access to, on YouTube, you get access to the full live stream. And that'll be unlisted. Okay, so that's worked out pretty well. I'm happy with that. Doop. Now, what am I going to do with this? I'm going to put that over there. I'm going to go grab a big brush. No. Don't separate. Oh, eye and hand coordination. Not the best sometimes. Okay, so now I need to clean off that, and then I've got to decide on what my light colours. Now, I've separated them already. And my plan... I have plans. Not always have plans. What's your name on Twitch? You can actually find the Twitch TV channel in my About section, Joe. It's actually also at the very front of my page on my YouTube channel. You'll find my Twitch account where I stream there. It's HowtoDandD. So it hasn't really changed. It's just not quite the same name exactly. So that's where I am as of tomorrow. Right, so this is the plan. I'm going with I'm using the D&D Nolzur's Marvelous Pigments, and this is Ghostly Blue. I might start with that one. And then I'm going with this merfolk torquoise, and can't say it, torquoise, whatever. Anyway, oh dear, brain is gone. Sickness is setting in. Put me out of my misery. Oh no. And this is gelatinous blue, which doesn't look even remotely blue, but I'm still going to use it. And that's what's going underneath. So that is the plan. Or am I going to go with the greener colour? Dark. No, I'm going to go with the turquoise. Oh gosh, come on, Fred. Brain, work. Oh, it's not happening. Okay, moving on. So give that a shake. I'm going to get that on the underneath, and we will see what it looks like. Now these paints I've found don't often need very much in the way of watering down, which is actually really cool, but it's also the underneath, so it's going to be hard for me to get at. Alright, so what's this like? No, that's too thick. Let's go with a little bit of a water down, and that might be too thin now. This is a problem. Okay, let's just see how it goes on. Yeah, too thin. I can see it. I can see it. It's just going to be too thin. We'll apply, and then we'll come back. We'll apply and come back to it later. Comply, comply, comply. And how do we get it underneath here? No. Yeah. Comply, comply, comply. Yeah. There we go. Going to be interesting to see how this sort of, how am I going to merge it? Because there should needs to be a color sort of transition taking place. So you can see how it's separating a little bit, so it's a way too thin. You followed me, Joe? Okay, cool. So you know where I am. I know a lot of you have been really dedicated over the time in terms of following me live, and I do appreciate it. But yeah, I guess I would have kept doing it if I felt that it was going to actually work for me, but it hasn't been. And I've been talking to a lot of people, and they're finding their channels are dying. So, and I have to sort of be a bit more serious about what I'm doing nowadays. I can't sort of just think, oh, I can do this after work, because this is it right now. Okay, so that colour went on like dog. Don't water it down. Whatever you do, if you go to use that paint, do not put any water with it. It is not a good idea. It is watery enough as it is. And actually, I'm not too surprised, because that tends to be what's been happening in the past anyway. Okay, so that has got him kind of coated really badly, and the paint is separating everywhere, and oh, bit of a mess. We'll fix it, but we won't be able to fix it until it dries a bit more. So we're going to deal with the top section. Oh no! Okay, so now out of my darker colours, I've done the Citadel kantor blue, so we'll get rid of that. We're now going to move on to the next colour. I've got 3 more colours for the top section that I can play with. So this is the frost blue. This is the ethereal blue. These are all the D&D Nolzur's Marvelous Pigments ones. And this is underdark indigo. And I feel presently that the indigo is probably the way to go. So we're going to grab the indigo and apply some of this with a different brush. We won't be going quite so heavy-handed this time. We'll use, now where is it? That's right. I'm going to actually apply it more like a dry brush, but maybe not too much like a brush. I'm going to use the dry brush anyway. So indigo. We're going underdark indigo. I don't know. Can anybody even? No, it's not singing. Stop, Fred. Stop, Fred. Stop. Okay. That's not paint that's working. Cool. That's not wet. Stick that in there, give it a shake. We've got it. It's a very, very dark colour. So I've got to decide how I'm going to put this on. Dark colour, where would it be appropriate? I feel like it's actually going to be really appropriate with a smaller brush in terms of application. We're going to go to the standard brush and we're going to spot apply rather than get too carried away. And I'm going to go with the gills. I think that's what my plan is we're going to go with the gills. And no need to water it down. Should have known better by now. Okay. What is going on here, Fred? Don't know. And darker regions, so I am thinking that is going to look very, very strange. I'm going to have to put something else over at the top of that. That's not going to work otherwise. There. And down to the gills there. Alright, come on. Come on, you. And we'll bleed that back the other way. So that's... Oh, cool. Blimey. Okay, so that's... Almost got it. Let's do that again. Okay, so next what I want to do is I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to just hit the fins with it. So they are slightly different colour on the side there, and do the same thing on the other side. And underneath, oh, I went and saw what was it, Toy Story 4. It was kind of fun. It was kind of fun. We Roll Dice. Hello again from Canada. How's it going, We Roll Dice? What are you up to today? There really hasn't been a bad Toy Story movie. And I was quite surprised by the story arc for Toy Story 4. I'm not going to, of course, tell you anything about it. But, yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was certainly a worthwhile movie. It had a lot of the elements that it had in some of the older movies, and added quite a lot to it. It's its own entity, that movie, in terms of story and character arc, and quite surprising, actually. Alright, so that's that. So what do we want to do with the arm sections where there's these spiky bits? I feel like this is a good place to go with this colour, and that's exactly what I'm going to do once I've cleaned my brush. Just got here. What mini is that? It's a Sharkman from Reaper Bones. Yes, I'm giving it. I got. I traded it with somebody during a trade meet quite some time ago, and they wanted to trade a whole lot of other things. It was quite clear to me they were really not interested in Bones miniatures. They just wanted to get hold of the pre-painted Dungeons and Dragons miniatures, and they have obviously bought the Bones miniatures thinking that they would paint them up and it would be cheap for them and easy and da-da-da-da. And, of course, the reality of that soon sunk home to them that they had made a terrible mistake. So if you're going to have unpainted miniatures, live with them being unpainted or spend some time and paint them. And I spent years playing with miniatures that were unpainted before I ever started painting them. And There's nothing wrong with doing that. To be frankly, there really isn't nothing wrong with it. Just finished installing central air in the house. 30 degrees Celsius here. Too hot, nice to now. Relax and catch the live stream. Oh, good. Yeah, my house is quite cold. It's old. It doesn't really have... I've done the insulation in the floor. I'm still not really in a position because of the expense and the hassle of doing the ceiling. The walls would require council consent, and there's no way I'm going to be able to get that done currently. So it's still all having to wait. So I'm working on my garden outside. Of course, the cats have found the garden and they've been having a good old time doing their business there. So that's not very helpful. I've got to find something to scare them off. I don't need monster repellent. I need cat repellent. A plant that scares off the cats, because they're digging up my spinach and my silver beet, and that's not really going to do me any good whatsoever. I didn't plant up that section so that they could do their business there. Okay. Right, so that's kind of what's going on there. I don't think I will paint the fingers that same colour. I think I'm going to just leave just that bit there like that. And then, what does it look like if I go along here? Darker edge. Darker edge. And might way be do do ba ba boo do boo 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 boo. It is difficult to paint something that's organic and to a large extent is sort of, you know, an animal, and make it look like it isn't just sort of, what's the word, being painted, rather than it actually exists naturally with those colours and that colour scheme. Frankly, it's one of the more difficult things that I can think of to try and do, is to paint something and make it look like there's natural transitions from one thing to another. Because usually it's not very easy to do. Okay, so let's get rid of that brush. We won't need that anymore. Paprika on the soil, I heard might work. There is apparently a plant that will scare them off, so and they'll stop them doing their business. So I know paprika is very, very strong, so they will tend to avoid it, but you've got to keep putting the paprika on. Unless, of course, I grow a paprika tree. Not actually a bad idea. A paprika tree. It only just popped into my head. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's a paprika tree. You know, like the spice. Okay, so this I'm going to use like a dry brush, but I'm going to just give me a second while I... Sorry about that. I just need to just see if this is going to come off too thick. Okay. Okay, so now we'll go over here, and those bits around its muscles and those sections, and we'll do its fisty bits, and we'll do the other. Where's the other one? Its hand. What is it? Is it doing anything? I can't even see. I can't tell. It's too hard to figure out. Okay, let's do it again. Yes, I will have to wash it. I know this. Just don't do live streams for doing a wash because it's a bit on the boring side. The only time I'm ever going to do a wash for miniatures is when I've got a whole bucket load of them to do all at once, and that because once you start washing, it's all over. You can't do very much of anything else. Okay, so it's just hits the front with this. Let's do that again. Stay. Don't go anywhere. Stop swinging them away. Don't swing away. All right. Okay, so that's... okay. Dust the edges. Dust the muscles on this side. And underneath. Where is it? Come here. A little bit more. Fisty bits. Fantastic. I'm using that next time my monk attacks. Ah, right. Yes. The I think these are actually, this here is like a shark's tooth, a very, very large shark's tooth, probably from some megalodon or other predator that's much larger and terribly frightening. Because it certainly wouldn't be one of his teeth. He's not big enough. He's big and scary, but he ain't that big and scary. Okay, alright, so clean out that. And try to deal with the bottom, which has just turned out disastrous. You can probably tell right now just how bad it is. Ah dear. This was the mistake of me. See, I've said it before. Don't water down those Nolzur's marvelous pigments because they just get too thin. But I did it, didn't I? Okay, indigo. So that's done. That's done. We're going to keep this one and this one. This one's going to be the last, I think. And this is... where's the... I did a turquoise. Turquoise didn't go down well. We will see if we can't just remove some of the paint that's already there. Just in case it looks like it's pulling. No, it's alright. It's mostly alright. It's mostly alright. Okay. We're not making that mistake again. We won't be doing that that way. We'll be applying it a different way. Okay, so now that I've got you mostly... okay, right, so where's that paint? Forget about that. Turquoise. We're moving on, and we're just going to go with the ghostly blue. I think the ghostly blue is a better idea. Nolzur's Marvelous Pigments, Ghostly Blue. What was I checking out? I was looking at Captain Courageous. I believe he does videos. I mean, you probably already know about him. Every once in a while, he'll put out a video about old Dungeons and Dragons modules and books, and he's one of my favorite YouTubers. In fact, he's probably one of the reasons why I started doing YouTube, because I saw him do it and I thought, man, he does such a great job. Maybe I can do that. Certainly he was one of the inspirations. And of course, Nerdarchy was one that certainly inspired me. I think it would have to be Nerdarchy and Captain Courageous are the channels that really sort of made me feel like, yeah. I never felt like watching Drunkards and Dragons was helping me. I always felt like it was well beyond my scope to be able to deal with running a YouTube channel the way he does. It was just, no, it's too hard. I could not get my head around it. Anyway. Let us get this paint on. I'm going to apply it pretty ruthlessly. I'm going to be ruthless like a shark. Sundry, how's it going? Reminds me of the street sharks. Yes, I was thinking that myself. Well, that's going on a lot better. And of course, I didn't water it down, so that helps. This time round, we'll get it. This time round, it'll work out. This time round, he says, but does he really know? No, he does not. I found it interesting. Everybody is taking a break. So Critical Role is taking a break. Matthew Colville and his crew are taking a break from the YouTube front. It's going to leave a lot of people with an awful lot of time and not much to watch. They'll have to go and watch Marvel Universe videos. I mean, there's plenty of them. But I imagine that was a large part of people's consumption of YouTube when it came to Dungeons and Dragons, was watching those guys. Okay, so let's get that. Okay, good. She gonna go on fine. She gonna go on fine. Make it mine, make it mine. Here we go. Let's brush that way. And do the same thing over here. Getting underneath this thing is the hard bit. It really is. It's really, really tricky. I'm not very fond of trying to paint underneath this thing. I am aware that this is a miniature that is sort of not necessarily the most popular, but I've had it sitting around for so long, and I always liked the idea of, I've used it once in my games where I had a sort of, I think it was one of the members of the crew transformed into a shark. So I had like a were shark on board. And it was fun. It was really fun. My players were like, wow! And then it started attacking them, of course, because that's what were sharks do, I guess. At that particular point, a lot of things just attacked people when I was running the game. But the great thing was that it was memorable for them, and I built the actual shark. So I made the monster really tough, and they had a ball, and they threw everything they had at it to try to take it down. And yes, caused lots and lots of squealing and terror. That's what you want your monsters to do, right? It's terror and squealing is what you want. And that is exactly what I got out of them. So, success. Alright, so I'm going to just do a little bit more of this. So just get... Where's that paint gone? There he is. We rolled dice. What's that? I just recently got into 5e and am DMing Lost Mine of Phandelver. From the starter kit. And I have been binge watching all of your videos on the adventure. They have been very useful. Thank you so much for doing them. You're welcome. There's more coming. Those videos might actually pay the bills one day. Yes, right now I'm in the process, if you're interested, of deciding whether I do Yimmick, the Goblin Chief, which is in... If anybody here is playing it, spoilers. Okay, spoilers for Lost Mine of Phandelver. Run away now, run away. Come back in about 5 minutes when I've stopped talking about it. So yes, I'm planning on doing Yimmick, the Goblin Chief. People have been asking me to do glass staff, but I don't really want to talk about glass staff yet. My feeling is that it would be highly popular for me to cover it. But there are certain videos that, for whatever reason, I just avoid. And they might be because I don't feel like it's the right time. I'm just not ready to do that kind of content. Things like that. And just finding the right moment where it all sort of feels like it's going to work. A lot of these videos actually require a lot of thought. And a lot of my thinking doesn't take place with me just sitting at the desk. I'll be driving to work... when I was working, and thinking about stuff, or I'll be on the toilet, or I'll be watching a movie, or, and I need time to actually pass to put it all together in my head. Otherwise, it's really too hard to get to grips. And a lot of those videos, really, I put a lot of time into them. And I've noticed there's somebody else who's doing something else very similar. Their particular spin on how to run those characters, which is great. It's great, It's a topic that needs to be talked about. Okay, so me. Okay, so let's just see if I can't Make it look like it hasn't just been painted on. And blend it in and up. 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 Up, 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 up. Blend it in and up. La da 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 da. Blend it in and up. Blend it. Come on, a bit more paint. Maybe that'll help. Blend it in and up. Blend it in and up. Blend it in and up. We want it to sort of transition. The transition is always tricky. I know my brother, if he was here, would be like, Fred, there are ways of doing it, and that's not the way to do it. He doesn't watch, I don't think he has time to watch my my videos, and I don't do cars, so he's probably not very interested anyway. Okay, so that is part of the Mr. Sharkman done. You okay? What do we got here? My party have just entered the Red Brand hideout. So you would be a person who'd be wanting the glass staff video for sure then. Yeah, I'm still very reluctant to do that video. It's like, I guess it's like doing the last major villain for the adventure. And I've covered all the rest, right? So it kind of feels like I'm coming to the end of this process. Of course, I should be not worrying about that sort of thing, because what is going to happen is eventually we're going to wind up with now. I did that. Okay, so now I'm going on to the top section. I'm going to go with the frost blue. What'll happen eventually is I'll find myself having to deal with the Dungeons and Dragons Essential Kit. I can't get the Dungeons and Dragons Essential Kit in my country, unfortunately. Just there's no such thing as a Target in New Zealand. Not the type of Target you guys have, anyway. Okay, so we're going to apply this and see what we get out of it. So I need a really dry brush. That's not very dry, unfortunately. What's that, Joe? Brought the Essentials Kit. It looks pretty good. Going to play a campaign with my two boys and their sidekicks. Awesome. So you're using sidekicks, animal companions, or is it going to be going with henchmen, henchwomen, whatever? How's it going to look? I would suspect it's going to be animal companions. I bet you I bet your boys decide that they would like to have an animal with them. It's a no-brainer. It's a good idea with a small group. Sundry, time to pass when you're passing gas. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, probably. Alright, so let's see if this looks alright when I just stroke off. That's going to be fine. We'll be relatively aggressive this time round, I think. So we'll go down the edge. And we'll go down here. And okay, let's do that again. And then how do we get down this way? Oh, we'll just keep going, I guess. And then move it around, give it a go. Alright, okay, so let's try that again. It seems to be working out alright, it's not too bad. What's that? We roll dice, no target in Canada either. Yeah, so it's sort of like wait till it gets released on Amazon or the book depository. Probably the book depository for me, because it's probably no shipping issues. In terms of cost, it'll be free shipping, so that's what I'm usually waiting for. And that will probably wind up being the the major focus of my channel after that is trying to get through that. Although you'll notice that I have been doing videos on the Curse of Strahd because I like the Curse of Strahd, and I have been doing started doing a video on the Rise of Tiamat, and I will probably continue to do them. They will be of a very different focus though. I don't think they require the kind of in-depth look at as I've done with the Lost Mine. Curse of Strahd is a different story. Curse of Strahd is really, really complicated, so therefore would require quite a bit of effort and a lot of videos to cover properly. But that's we'll see how that all goes out. Right now I'm sort of trying with my video production. I'm trying to go something for the Dungeon Master, something for the players, something for the Dungeon Master, something for the players. And I'm mixing it up. So you'll notice that I might do something on a video series and then do nothing for quite some time. And then it comes back again. And you're like, oh, I thought he had finished doing those. But no. I guess it's just to give a variety of different things. I know that for me, I need a variety of things. I get bored very, very easily. And I imagine that everybody else is very much the same way. Because you start doing a series on the same thing for a while, particularly if, you know, a lot of my series are going to be like 40 or 50 videos. There's a lot of different videos going on there. Okay. Well, the basics of this is coming together reasonably well. I feel like that's actually working out not too bad. And then if I keep transitioning through, okay, so am I happy with that? I guess I've got to decide, eh? Am I happy? Yeah, I think I am. Alright, so that's good news. Well done, Fred. Okay, so now let's get rid of the water off this brush. And I won't go for too long. I'm just going to go for about an hour. We might come back and finish this next weekend. I don't think I'm going to get it done today. It would be asking an awful lot to get it done today. There's a lot of different transitions going on. So Frost Blue have done that. We probably get all the blues on though. We get all the major blue colours in place, and then all of the fiddly stuff I'll do later. Okay, so I did the top. I want to do the underneath. I'm going to go with, see, there is a reason why I went with, I want a more grey sort of look underneath, so I'm going to go with that one. As the underneath sort of looks a little bit patchy too, so I'm a little bit worried about that. I feel like that layer of paint is actually going to probably fix that though. Yeah, we'll do that now. That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. What's that, Joe? So it's henchmen standard, but I can look for animal companion roles. Yeah, I should do a video on it because it's something that is so people really like. You know, it's the one time it makes sense for people to have an animal companion. Any other time, it's just another hassle for a dungeon master, another thing for them to have to deal with. But in this case, with small numbers of players and young kids, it's perfect. Absolutely perfect. I don't think we'll fully know what the, I think the sidekick rules are still under development. So things like animal companions might not be fully fleshed out. Because I know that the sidekick rules in the Essentials kit is not the full-blown thing. There's more to come. Okay, so we're gonna. So this is a very whitish, greyish blue. And how is this going to work? We're going to just put this over here, Fred, and then we're going to stroke and see what we get underneath. What's it look like? Hang on, just a little bit more. Yep. Blah, 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 blah. Let's get it on. Let's get it on. Let's get it on. Let us get it on. Focus, Fred. Focus. Focus, focus, focus on just the underneath with a very, very big brush. I probably should have gone with a little smaller brush. It would have been a bit more helpful. That is actually working fine. Let's keep doing that. And brush that off again. And then tackle the feet. And then work my way up. And then zip on round. Get in the corner there, and then the underneath that tail is going to be problematic, but we'll just really difficult to get at some things. Okay, so I'm going to go with a smaller brush to get underneath there, I think. Yep, so that's what I'll do. I'll wash that out. What's that, Joe? The side kick rolls, they level up with the PCs. Yes, you have to, otherwise they would die, right? Really, really quickly. Would be a shame. We don't want that happening, not too often. Although I understand the concept behind the side kick rules is that they can just go back and get another one. It's not too much of a big deal. And they're probably designed to be quite relatively squishy in comparison. Okay, so I need a smaller brush, and an old standard brush will probably be the one I want. And do I need any more paint? Yes, I will. I'll need to get just a little bit more out of there. Sundry, what's that? What color will be the base beast? Well, I'm using gelatinous blue right now for the underneath. The base color I used was Citadel Kantor blue. But I don't really want there to be a base color. I actually want there to be sort of like a mixture. I often do this, so you'll find that I'll wind up just sort of blending different colors in, so that when you look at the miniature, you can't really tell that there's one sort of color going on there. Because I don't think when you look at an animal that that they would have just one color scheme going on. There's going to be more than one. Yeah, that'll help me just control where I put the paint now by using a smaller brush, and we'll just go along there. And then flick it around there a bit. Good. It's good. Let's do it again. And okay. All right, so I got what I wanted going on underneath properly. Yep. That's that, that's that, that's that, that's that. Relatively happy with this. And we might just give it more of a white belly to it. So I'm just going to blend in and just apply just a little bit more underneath it, so it gets a lot lighter there. It's already starting to do that, so we'll do that again. Kind of give the effect of more of a great white. Okay, cool. All right, good. That's the beginning. All right, so next, I think one more color application with the main colors for this creature, and that would be the top. We're going to use this ethereal blue, the Nolzur's ethereal blue. All right, give it a good shake. Oh, God. Okay, stop. Okay, so this needs to have... So, no, actually, this color is actually going to be more controlled, I feel. So that is going to actually require a smaller brush. I'm going to put it right where I want it to go. So that is the layer brush, The little fine brush. Okay, so there's more of the shaking going on. So this, where's this going to go? Have I got a spot for it? Not too much. So, ethereal blue. That will make the last of the blue. The blue. Okay, so this. Yep, don't thin it down, Fred. Small brush. And and apply just where I want it to go. He says, praying. I haven't got my fingers crossed, but I've got my legs crossed. Pray that it works. Oh, stop holding my breath. Not very helpful. Okay, and the side of the shark. Let's have a look. What can we bring out? That edge where the tooth is, and just around where the snoz. Just get his snoz to stick out a little bit more around the eyes. And we'll flick it round and we'll do the other side of his fin, his gills. Let's deal with the gills. Gilly time. Right. Okay. Oh, I can't see. It's very hard to sort of make out. And do a little bit more on the other side. That's not too bad. Okay, good. All right, so get rid of this. Oh no, just a second. Not quite, not just yet. So let's do down the side of the mouth and do the eye on this side as well. So no, it's not coming off. Let's try it again. And let's deal with the eyes and the snoz. Let's see if we can get the snoz to come out of it. There we go, that's a bit better. Around the eye. And a tiny bit more. And then let's go under a little bit. Okay. I mean, the detail on it is not huge, I have to say. It's right. So let's go with the. I don't know if the edge is necessarily on the top is going to come out by using this, but we'll see what happens. Yeah, the brush is too small for that point, so let's just switch that out. And we'll do something else. I'll get a slightly, just a fraction bigger, and I'll run it along that edge there and see if that works. Okay, alright, so let's try again. Where's my... And do it again on the other side, I guess. And on that edge, along here, okay, so the muscles, do I deal with them? I feel like I probably should. And then flip it around, do the other side. Okay, and we're getting close, getting pretty good. I think that's got the main sort of colour scheme there. And do I want to do anything? It's not even any point doing anything underneath there. It's pointless. You're never going to see it. Don't need to worry about any of that. It's unseeable, really. Okay. Is there anything else that sort of feels like it needs to be attacked? No. No, I don't think there is. Okay, so let's clean that out. Let's put on the cap. Boom, like so. And I'll be coming back to this. So, now, people, would you like me to put a thumbnail for this video with a picture of this miniature in its current form? Or would you like me just to leave up what I've already done in terms of artwork? I feel like it's not the finished product, so it's not such a great idea. So, so that you can have a reasonable look at what's happened so far, it is far from finished. I will come back another day and attempt to do some more work with it. But let's sort of give it a rotate so that you can see sort of what's going on. So you can see the underneath is a lot lighter. I've used at least 3 or 4 different blues for the top and the bottom to sort of get the shading and to get things to sort of blend in as much as possible. And I would imagine that more will take place once I get an opportunity to put that edge there. I can see it right now. It looks terrible right there. That just looks... Hope the wash will take it out. Anyway, but it will get washed. And I'm not finished. There is more things to be done on it, but I just don't think it'll happen today. Rather than go for too long, I won't do that. Not a very sensible thing to do. So yeah, Hopefully you've had an opportunity to get as much done on your own projects as possible, and if you have, that's excellent news. If you enjoyed watching this, I have many videos on YouTube for players and dungeon masters, crafting, painting, you name it. It's all there. I don't really plan to answer any questions and so forth, but by all means, if you have some feedback, you're welcome to give me some feedback on the miniature and its current progress. I will be back to do some more work on it. You can use the comment section, that's fine. I have a Patreon account where you can support me, so I keep doing videos like this. And also, too, I have affiliate links to the book depository and Amazon. Now, the Amazon affiliate links are worldwide, so you just have to pick the country that you are in. There's also a link for this particular miniature at Reaper Bones if you're wanting to grab it for whatever reason. I have provided you in the description a sort of rundown of the paints that I used. I will update that because I used a lot more paints in this than I did actually list in the description, so you can be sure I will update that. Make sure to share, like, and subscribe. Hit the bell button to be notified when I go live and when I publish new videos. And I do publish new videos and I do go live quite a lot as it happens. I'm on YouTube and on Twitch TV, but normally live stuff will be on Twitch TV. Make sure to hit the bell button to be notified. And hey, till next time, keep rolling those 20s. Where's my dice? There it is. I know I had it somewhere. I found it. It's working well.